My name is Nick, and welcome to my channel, where I like to talk about scary stuff. The found footage horror anthology franchise VHS is back with a fourth installment. This Shudder original follows a SWAT team investigating a mysterious warehouse where they uncover a series of disturbing videotapes. Even though this movie has been out for several weeks now, if you have not watched it yourself, well, don't worry. I'm going to keep the first portion of this video spoiler free. I'm not even going to get into the actual shorts or stories themselves until after my grade, and then we will get into all of the spoilery fun. But in the meantime, let me convince you to watch VHS 94 this spooky season. I don't think I've had the opportunity to talk about the VHS franchise on my channel yet, so let me just say I am definitely a fan of the first two VHS films. The third one, VHS Viral, burn it at the stake. It's awful. We don't need it. But I am glad that they brought this franchise back, because the original, let me tell you, when the first VHS movie came out, I remember a friend and I rented it on VOD. We were hanging out, watching it in her bed under some blankets, all spooked out, and then there was one of the shorts, there was one jump scare with a kid running across a room, you know the one. My friend and I both screamed out loud, like together at the same time as full-grown adults. Like, that does not happen. That does not happen. Movies do not scare me. So you can be sure that first one definitely left an impression on me. And it's why I think we need more anthologies, especially within the horror genre, because horror is perfect for short-form storytelling. Like, I'm sure all of us have solid ideas we come up with for concepts of a horror story that don't all need to be feature-length films. Like, I'll throw you one. Killer Toaster. Does that need to be a movie? No. Would I watch an episode of Creepshow on a Killer Toaster? Yes! Unfortunately, VHS 94 can't help but fall into the anthology trap of being uneven. Given the nature of the film, you have like 5 different stories written and directed by 5 different creative teams. Naturally, one person just isn't going to love all of them. Unless you did, in which case, great, let's trade brains. But for me, I liked maybe 2 of the 5 stories, and still, I think this is one of the most interesting movies I've watched this October. The look and feel of this movie is so 90s. It is so perfect. As soon as the movie started, it brought me back to being a kid watching like Cops or something like that. I just couldn't believe how well they nailed the look of this film across the board throughout all of the stories. Some are better than others, I will say. Some are very good when it comes to the look alone. But the movie isn't nostalgic. It isn't just like, hey, look at all these 90s things, as I'm sure plenty of people may have worried about going into this movie. It really just makes sense that it would take place within the 90s, when people were actually recording things on VHS tapes, when people were making home movies of nothing. I mean, I had a video camera that literally, it was this big like box that you would, prop up on your shoulder that would record directly onto a blank VHS tape, like the same type of tape you would use to record something on TV. That was so fun. I would just record some random bullshit. You'd be able to pop it right out of the video camera and right into your VCR. Oh, the 90s. One thing I always love in any anthology movie is a wraparound. I appreciate the time that it's taken to sort of weave all of these stories together into one cohesive film, but the weakest part of this movie is the wraparound with the SWAT team. I mean, it honestly, right off the bat, I was like, oh, this is not going to be that good. The acting in these segments just so over the top and horrible. And I don't know, it's unfortunate, because I really liked that concept and that idea, especially as sort of our springboard for getting into all of these other stories. But every time we cut away to go back to them, it was just like, God, do we even need these people? But like I said, even if you only happen to enjoy 2 out of 5 of the stories, I still think it's worth a watch. I happen to really like these 2 stories, and I'm looking forward to talking about them after the grade. So let's get into that. For the concept, this is a little difficult, trying to grade something like this, especially with my breakdown, so just go with me. For the concept here, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5, because I really like the ideas of pretty much all of the stories, and I really like the concept of this SWAT team going in. But then, kind of what's done with that and the way some of these stories play out, not perfect to me. For the execution, I do have to give this a 2.5 out of 5 because it's just uneven. A couple of the stories just really didn't work for me. The wraparound really did not work for me. I mean, it was bad. That was bad. I was like, oh, you may have wanted to rethink that entirely. But as for the entertainment value, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 because, yes, it did lose me in some sections. As I will talk about, there is one of the stories that I just, like, it was, like, unwatchable to me. I was just, like, about to fall asleep. I could not watch it. It was not good. But, like I said, those 2 stories I really liked them. As for my personal grade, I'm going to give VHS 1994 a 3 out of 5. It's not perfect, but it's a solid spooky season watch. With that done, let's get into these stories, okay? I want to talk about them a little bit. I think you can already get, I just plain didn't like the wraparound. Didn't really care about those characters. I thought all of the acting was just really bad. And where it led, it was like 2 of the lady cops like running this shit. I don't know. I just was like, I just did not care. I didn't care about any of that. But the first actual VHS we see with the reporter going into the sewers, I'm sorry, I should look up the names of these short, but I'm not going to. Okay, the Ratma story. This was probably my favorite. I really like this one. We have a reporter and her cameraman. She's like looking into this urban legend of the Rat Man in town, and this leads her into these sewers where this is what sold it. I'm going to tell you, this is what really sold it to me, because you'd be like, why on earth is this woman going into those sewers? Like, you know, immediately it's like, abort, abort, abort. Get out of there, honey. Like, come on, do not do this. But what worked for me is the way that this character starts out her reporting, talking about this urban legend, this ridiculous rat man, and then turning it into a story about the homeless in their community. And that really worked for me, because I really felt like that's something a reporter would do. A reporter would try to be like, but let me try to turn this into something very substantive. You know, I feel like she would find that angle. And that really made sense to me. And it was enough for me to follow those characters going into those sewers. And then, of course, once they're in there, the fact that, of course, the Rat Man had to be real. The fact that the priest was involved, a little much. And I would say that the effects on the creature design, they were good enough, but you could tell, like, there was, like, just a bit of a moment where you could tell, like, oh no, they can't keep the camera on this thing for too long, otherwise it all falls apart. Like, the editing worked enough in terms of making it, you know, work enough for me, I guess, but I just, you could tell it was very close to being very shitty. But, you know, I give him credit for doing it. I do. And while the ending is very The Howling, I still liked it. You know, you can borrow as long as you're doing something good with it. The second story, this was a bit of a bummer. This one was just kind of blah. You have this young woman who is working at a funeral home, and she's like pretty much the only person there. She's pretty much watching it for the night as all these storms are happening, and she's supposed to be overseeing a wake. And no one shows up. No one is there. So she's just there alone with this coffin, and there's creepy sounds coming from the coffin. And this was one where it's like, you just knew where it was gonna go the entire time. And then once it did its thing, you're just like, and we're done, on to the next one. Like, it was kind of the epitome of just a basic short story, like just something like I was talking about earlier in anthologies, where some will work for you and some won't. And this one was just kind of like, why did we even do it? Like it's fine, but it's also like, I mean, I do think the effects work on the man in the coffin, they were well done. I thought that was cool, but if you're doing nothing with it, it's like, whatever. On to the third story. Ooh, I'm so sorry. This one, I felt like it had all the potential. You know, I even think it was good. I would say it was good for what it was, and I can see a lot of people really enjoying this one. In this story, we have a mad scientist type who is like infusing people with machinery and trying to make robot people, and it's a whole lot of nothing until we get to, once again, like exactly where we know it's going. Maybe it's my writer brain, I don't know, but I'm sure everyone else, if you watch movies, things just become predictable, and you knew exactly where it was gonna go. It was gonna be this this person who has like a gun strapped to their arm or whatever. Like, you know that they're just gonna break out and do some killing. And when that finally happens, I thought it was really well done. I thought it was very action packed. It looked like kind of a video game, and in a fun way. I thought that worked. This was the one where it almost put me to sleep, because I was waiting for us to get to the goods because I knew it was coming, and it was like a whole lot of buildup that just didn't really build anything for me in terms of character or emotion or story. I was just like, yeah, I got what we're doing. Let's go there. Like, this actually felt to me almost like a proof of concept short, like something that could be the beginning of a feature-length film, and I would maybe watch that movie. But as for getting like just a piece of it, like, I just did not care. If you want some sci-fi action body horror, you may really enjoy this one, but I literally don't care. I do not have a fuck to give. And this fourth story. Is this the last one? I guess it is, because the wraparound is the fifth. This was, I don't know, maybe this is my favorite. This and the Rat Man, I loved these both so much. In this story, in this short, in this VHS, we are following a group of, I guess I will say, anarchists, but they're way worse. Like, they're planning some bad stuff. These are not some good guys. It's this group of, like, I don't know where it was set. It felt very Michigan to me, but these are like some hunter dudes. They're in the middle of nowhere in the winter at this like shack that they have set up, where basically we see them recording their own thing, where they have a man in this shack tied up, and like every single day they walk in and shoot him in the head, and he's there again every single day. And right off the bat I was like, what are we doing? This is so interesting. And this I thought was so well in terms of execution, because even though we're stuck with all of these just like hunter dudes who you don't care about, who you feel are like cooking up some really shitty stuff, it was still fascinating to watch because of what they were doing. I guess they were planning on like sicking this vampire on the crowd or whatever. I don't even really care. It doesn't matter. Of course, my mic failed during the most important segment of discussing this short, and that's that the look of this one is so spot on and perfect. Like, it actually was the one that confused me at first, where I was like, wait, is this actually like from the 90s? Like, is this a real uncovered VHS tape from the middle of nowhere? Like, the look is so spot on and perfect. Like, it truly felt like something out of a 90s edition episode of America's Funniest Home Videos, or in this case, like America's Most Fucked Up Home Videos. Even though this one was as simple and predictable as, say, the other stories, this one I found to be so interesting, with as little action as was happening. And even though most of our time is spent with characters who we don't like, I really want to know what you guys thought of this one, because I almost can't put my finger on it. Like, I just thought it was so damn well done. And again, just truly looked like a long lost tape from the 90s. Well, guys, those are my thoughts on VHS in 1994. I would love to know what you guys thought of this one. What is your ranking of the different shorts? What is your favorite VHS movie? Definitely let me know. Again, I feel like I haven't talked about VHS at all on here, and I would definitely like to talk about VHS. I might have to review the other ones at some point. I just might have to. But for anyone who is a regular viewer, you guys, let's take a moment. I am so sorry. I have vanished. I was gone. I disappeared. It is October, and I haven't posted anything all October long. I'm disappointed in myself. I truly am. If you know, you know. If you've followed me a little bit, and you know what I'm going through. It's been such a tough month, and I don't want to dwell on it too much. That's not what I want this to be. I just want to say I'm sorry. I haven't uploaded at all. I haven't uploaded at all. I'm sorry. I've been gone. I've just been trying to deal with life stuff and get things on track, and I am hoping to make up for lost time and bring you some fun Halloween spooky goodness. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support me. Somehow, without uploading, I still managed to gain like 30 subscribers over the last month. I thought I was going to lose all of you, but more of you have showed up. So if you are new here, thank you so much. Hello. I promise, well, let me not promise anything, but I will say I will try to not vanish all the time from now on. Thank you guys so much for your support. I truly can't say it enough. If you aren't already, follow me on Instagram and Letterboxd for more movie recommendations. That's it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another. And hail Ratma.